#1 accelerator for fat loss, so it felt like a cheat code. I felt better, I looked better, I was happier, and I was more energized. The average person is not in shape. Obesity is on the rise, global mental health is on the floor. So in this video, I'll explain the 7 secrets to fat loss and finally get rid of those love handles and allow you to feel more confident, more attractive, and healthier in your own skin. And if you implement it correctly, you might not even feel hungry in doing so. So go grab a tea, let's get into it. So social media is full of elite level physiques, and all of these jacked, sexy motherfuckers set the standards in our own minds. And if we don't look like that, we can often feel a little bit shit about ourselves. But listen to this. The average person is not in shape. Obesity is on the rise. Daily exercise is plummeting. Fatty foods are more common than healthy ones, and they're cheaper and more accessible than ever. Also, global mental health is on the floor, which plays a huge role in these trends, in supporting these trends. And to make it worse, all of these trends are growing and all in the wrong direction. Now, a lot of people think they're doing the right things by eating less and working out, but many are actually making things worse with their strategies and causing long-term problems, opening themselves up to weight gain and health scares down the line. So this video goes on to uncover these common mistakes, but also gives you the practical steps to guarantee your fat loss. And number 7 is going to be a game changer for your goals. All backed by science and proven in my methodologies in helping clients do the same. Now, just before we dive into this, my free PDF Foods for Fat Loss is now live, so the link is in the bio. If you've got stubborn belly fat which isn't going to move, this one's really going to help, so go and get that, link in the bio. So the 7 fat loss secrets. So many people go on a fat loss journey, but 95% of those who lose weight regain it within 1 year. That's a crazy stat. And it's central to our mission at Applied Fitness to enhance people's education and ability to lose weight and keep it off long term. Because we know that losing fat is going to make you 10 times more confident, which in effect is going to allow you to perform better in all the other areas of your life as well. And then most importantly, you live a happier, more peaceful life as a result of that. So it's really, really important. So look, as a brief introduction to myself for anyone new, I'm Nathan Field, lead coach at Applied Fitness. I'm a level 2 and level 3 qualified personal trainer. I'm passionate about influencing people's mental and physical health through fitness, mindset and nutrition. So in my previous life as a city banker in London, I worked my way out of plenty of tough spots, but a few dark spots through fitness. I also fell in love with the process of improving myself, but also improving my nutrition, my fitness, my mindset. By also improving my nutrition, both of these areas became absolutely enhanced. I felt better, I looked better, I was happier, and I was more energized. So it felt like a cheat code. And it was this experience which led me to start Applied Fitness Coaching, to enrich and transform other lives the same way that I transformed my own. And I think in realising that those really small tweaks in my routines, in my gym sessions, in my eating patterns made massive differences to my physique, transforming from this to this, without changing too much in terms of time invested. And look, in the next 12 to 18 months, I'm going to severely transform this again. See, a lot of people are doing the hard work, but it's just in those minor tweaks, in that sort of 5 to 10% tweaks, and maybe a little bit more of accountability. It's in the how that results go from good to great. That's exactly my mission with Applied Fitness Coaching. Cool, so let's get into the first one. So the first fat loss secret, calorie deficit is king. So we'll start with the golden rule. Whether you're Nathan Field, whether you're John Doe, whether you're Chris Bumstead, this rule holds true. Fat loss only happens when calories out exceeds calories in. And you can't escape this law. That's the law of thermodynamics. Every diet that works, so keto, fasting, low carb, vegan, it only works because it creates a calorie deficit. But here's where people go wrong. So they slash calories too hard, way too fast, and it causes a metabolic adaptation. Your body starts to fight back, burning fewer calories and making you feel miserable, make you feel tired. I'll talk about this at more length shortly, but look, in order to master the calorie deficit and speed up your fat loss, you'll need to start with a controlled deficit. So generally I suggest that's around 300 to 500 calories below maintenance, but remember it's a dieting phase at the end of the day, so it's going to come with a few pinches of hunger, maybe a few temptations of snacking and some mental battles to stay firm. But there are 2 easy tools you can take to feel fuller, curb snacking, and not overeat whilst in your calorie deficit. So number 1, eat a high protein diet, and then number 2, eat a high fiber diet. Protein and fiber keep the body feeling full, which prevents signaling to your mind that you are hungry. It's also going to stabilize blood sugar and actively reduce cravings. So calories are king when it comes to fat loss or gain. protein and fiber are going to become tools to trick your mind while you are dieting. So additionally, protein is going to fuel your muscles and keep any mass you have while dieting, whereas a low protein intake can actually lead to muscle breakdown. So no one's really looking to achieve that. No one's wanting to break down muscle. Not good for longer term health, but it's also not good for the aesthetic which we're looking for while we're in a cutting phase. I actually go into more detail about this in my free guide, Foods for Fat Loss. So you can access that through the description, so go ahead and check that out. Just a final point on this first one. So look, just aim for about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's going to keep you feeling fuller for longer and also satiated throughout the day. And aim to fill your plate with high fiber vegetables and whole foods, so you're naturally going to eat less without feeling too depleted. So look, we all know those lucky who can seemingly eat what they want, whenever they want, but also stay lean all year round, right? Others look at a pizza and they gain half a kilo. Do you know what I mean? Why is that? So simplistically, metabolism. So your metabolism is the secret fat burning tool which dictates how many calories you burn just from existing. Breathing, your organ function, digesting, all of this type of natural functionality of the body, it all burns calories. And this is tailored to you, it's genetic. This is why with my clients, we need to learn over the first few weeks how the body reacts to training, to nutrition, and then to tailor solutions around them the more that we learn. So not to get too technical, but your metabolism can adjust upwards or downwards. So this also touches on the number one mistake that people fall into when trying to lose weight. They cut calories too low and then continue to cut them when they reach a plateau in their diet. It also touches on the longer term fat loss strategy. I'll do another video on, so increasing your metabolism over time. That's one way to keep fat off over the longer period. But fundamentally, your metabolism is going to adjust downwards when you cut your calories, fairly slow, which is why we can benefit from a calorie deficit to influence weight loss. But it's a survival instinct. So where the body is receiving less food, it panics and starts using less energy. We chase this down, we also force down our metabolism. You're going to lose that battle. You're going to feel tired, you're going to feel weak, moody, start to impair your hormones and start to impair other normal bodily functions. Now, I know some people that were eating as little as 1,000 calories a day and making no progress. So they've completely run their calorie targets into the ground. They then come to me for help and we had to spend the first few weeks recovering a healthy metabolism for them. So 1,000 calories per day is far too low for anyone. What can you do? So in terms of practical steps, you've got to set a sensible calorie target and stick to that for a sustained period. Slow and steady is going to win the race. You're only going to adjust that downwards when you've maxed out your calories out. Again, which we'll talk about shortly. That calories out part of the equation, you want to maximise that. And then even then, any further reduction needs to be structured, needs to be patient. So to optimise your metabolism, firstly, don't destroy it with a low calorie intake. Also make sure that you sleep at least 7 quality hours a night, drink plenty of water, exercise regularly, ideally with some weight training, and maintain a physique with good muscle mass. So having more muscle mass is going to increase your daily metabolic rate, just meaning you're going to burn more calories without actually doing anything. Final point, so regular meals can assist in keeping your metabolism at good levels, keeping it ticking over. So less food often is going to be better than more food infrequently. And this moves on nicely to NEAT. So this is our third fat loss secret. Essentially, this is how you can burn fat just by existing. So NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Slight mouthful. It's the calories you're going to burn outside of structured workouts. So that's going to be walking, fidgeting, standing, basically just movement. And it is extremely underrated. It can account for up to 50% of your daily burn and also be about 5 times more calories burnt versus your average gym session. However, it's key to obviously point that the more sedentary life becomes, the less movement we naturally have in our day-to-day lives. So to give that a little bit more colour, the early 1960s, almost 50% of jobs in the US required at least moderate intensity activity. A more recent study suggests that it's closer to 20%. I'll put all the citations below if anyone wants to read it. But essentially the intensity of work that we're doing is far less than it was back in the day. The World Health Organization published a report in 2022. 31% of adults globally did not meet the recommended levels of physical activity. That's actually increased 5% from 2010, and they expect that to go to about 35% of adults by 2030. 35%, so that's 1/3 of the entire world not doing enough basic movement to be considered healthy. Crazy statistic. So the article is literally titled "Nearly 1.8 billion adults at risk of disease from not doing enough physical activity." And that's a harrowing realization. And look, there's hundreds of revealing comparisons like that. a lot of recent studies on this as well. But the conclusion overall is that we're all structurally becoming lazier. It's not necessarily by choice, but we're glued to our computers for work. You can focus on all other areas of life, which are almost all normally quite static as well. So we overtly need to try and increase that activity. So the clear takeaways to assist you on your fat loss journey: walk more, so aim for at least 10,000 steps a day. Add in lunchtime walks, morning walks, 5 to 10 minutes helps. It's also been proven to boost mental health and brain activity as well. Additionally, Huberman talks about cold exposure as an additional fat loss tool. So even fidgeting and shivering increases fat burning. He actually recommends cold exposure and intermittent cold showers to boost that brown fat activation, essentially just helping you burn more fat. So the final one is just be intentional. So now you know that we are more lazy than ever, more sedentary than ever. That's largely due to technological advancements. You now know that you need to intentionally increase your caloric expenditure. So spend an extra 5 to 10 minutes at the end of your sessions doing some light cardio. Just move more, stay active. That one took a dark turn, didn't it? Number 4 is a little bit more relaxed, and it's mindful eating. So when people approach a diet, they fall into the hole of black and white thinking. So, tomorrow I'll never eat chocolate again, or I must only eat healthy foods. Now I need to lose weight, right? So stop, just pause and think back to rule number 1. What was it? Calorie deficit is king. So that means that you have, albeit a little bit of freedom to eat what you want, as long as you meet your targets for protein and within the set calorie targets. There's certainly room to allocate some calories to chocolate or whatever other foods that you're craving, if that's going to help you with your motivation. Structure is the key word. In fact, this is an approach we actually took with one of my clients, Ed. So he lost 10 kilograms through this approach. So we set his targets and factored in a few calories so we can enjoy a few beers, a little bit of off-plan eating while losing fat. And there is an art to it. There is a right way to do it, there's a wrong way to do it. Once you nail it, it's a really great thing. What I will say though is it's more difficult to follow than the structured approach. So a structured approach is absolutely my preferred way. The way that I actually personally reach my own targets. There's just less wiggle room for failure and error. But if it helps motivation, and if clients are feeling a little bit boredom around dieting, look, I can personally eat the same thing every day. Others struggle, but then mindful eating is a great tool to assist in fat loss. The main problem we're trying to avoid is creating those negative labels around eating. So when you label foods as bad, you're creating guilt, leading to restriction, leading to binging, and the cycle repeats. So instead you just got to eat mindfully, slow down, allow some wiggle room in dieting, and track portions honestly, and just stay accountable essentially. So number 5, using exercise as a tool, not a permission slip. As mentioned, calories in versus calories out are going to be the key. On the calories out section, a lot of this is going to be driven by your metabolism, and then we can manipulate NEAT, as we discussed before, to further increase calories out. That's roughly 90% of your calories out for the day. Exercise therefore can contribute to that remaining gap, so that's often around 10% of daily expenditure. So there's a couple reasons we use exercise: to feel good, it releases endorphins and we enjoy it; to build a more athletic physique, to grow muscles, to tone up, to get stronger, and also to become healthier overall. I'm sure there's a few other reasons, mental and physical, but I'll just leave it there. So in understanding the following, at no point is exercise used for earning more food, but instead it's for maintaining muscle, improving metabolism, and supporting overall health. Just a little story on this. I once lived with a friend who joined the gym to lose fat. It's a really great goal. He'd go on the treadmill for about 20 minutes, burn maybe 200 calories. But then he'd go home, he'd sit down, and he'd eat a whole pack of chocolate buttons to reward himself for getting to the gym. So think about it, right? So he just burnt 200 calories. He's just consumed 550 calories. And look, I love all efforts in trying, but it's fair to say he made zero progress this way. And it goes to show why, it's a very common phrase in the industry, but you can't outtrain a bad diet. It's very cliche. Everyone's heard that. 1 hour in the gym doesn't cancel out any overeating. Again, it comes down to that control overeating and using exercise as a tool towards fat loss, towards a calorie deficit. Okay, I love this one. So number 6, mindset and identity shift. Such a game changer. It's so overlooked in the industry and so important for wider achievement as well in absolutely anything. Basically, this is entirely about being the person who gets fit, being the person who can lose fat and have discipline. Most people fail because they try and do the things that fit people do. So just going to the gym, just turning up to the gym, drinking protein shakes, posting selfies, without becoming the person who does them. So then that's more disciplined eating, prioritising sleep and recovery, and saying no to temptations. Fat loss starts with that identity. You need to act like the person you're becoming before you get there. So instead of thinking, I'm just trying to lose weight, you need to operate in the mindset that you are someone who eats with purpose, or someone who moves every day. It's a commitment to yourself, it's a commitment to your journey and your goals. So it's super, super important. And yeah, I love these mindset angles. So basically just adopt the mindset first and your actions are going to follow accordingly. So consistency becomes automatic when it's part of who you are. And last but not least, this is the number one accelerator for fat loss: accountability and guidance. So famously, motivation is the worst tool for long-term achievement. It's fleeting, it lasts a couple of days, a couple of weeks if you're lucky, but discipline's going to bring you success. So that means being pushed when you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to go to the gym, you want to eat shit, etc. We as humans thrive in community, and we thrive when we're told what to do rather than left to our own devices. Look, some can do it alone, but often they hit a wall. And even with all the knowledge in the world, which everyone has now, so due to AI, everyone has all the information, but going alone is hard. And that's why coaching, community, and accountability are game changers. They keep you consistent when motivation ultimately fades. And it helps you implement the knowledge as well. So implementation is one of the biggest hurdles to actually achieving your goals. A lot of people have the information, they can't implement it. And look, this is one of the reasons why I've spent a significant amount of time creating different levels of support, be that free content, free resources like the Food for Fat Loss in the description, whether that be one-to-one coaching, group coaching, offering memberships to the Applied Fitness community, or tailored workout plans, tailored nutrition plans, or even just WhatsApp and Instagram support, which I'm giving out continuously. I've created support at all financial levels and all ability levels. So what accountability and guidance does is it collates all of these 7 points mentioned throughout the video, plus the other 100 plus points in the other areas of fitness. So working out, motivation, sleep and recovery, tissue types, body adaptations, cardio tools, reversing out of dieting, building muscle, long-term fat loss strategies, etc., etc. There's loads to mention, and it puts it all in one place under one plan. You offload all of the guesswork to me, and you can guarantee your progress and your fat loss by sticking to the plan that I create and that you follow. You can join all of these clients who have taken the leap and are well on the way to creating lasting change. But look, I'm not a mind reader. All I need from you is a few details, the problems you're facing, your goals, and how I might be able to help. Then I can tailor a response to you. So there's no commitment, but if you'd like to find out a little bit more, the link's below in the bio, a short form you can complete to start the conversation. So I look forward to hearing from you. But look, bringing all the above to a close, fat loss isn't about perfection, it's about structure, it's about strategy, and it's about consistency. So if you're able to stay consistent and patient, the results are going to come. The results will come. And factoring in a little bit of flexibility isn't going to ruin everything, but make sure it's controlled and sensible and accurately track it. Crucial that you track it. But look, finally, you're not far away from the body that you want. It's just a few consistent habits away. So hopefully this is helpful. If it was helpful, subscribe for more videos on the way. Drop a comment if any questions, or just show some love. I'll see you in the next video.